Hey everyone, G-Force41 here with a playthrough of my newly published course, Cuyahoga Downs. Okay, and note to everyone is not Cuyahoga as I've been saying. I do believe it's Cuyahoga or Cuyahoga, and this course is inspired by Inverness, which is easy to say, and Scioto. Okay, I've been saying Scioto, so I think now I've never been to Ohio. It's Cuyahoga and Scioto. I am from Long Island, where we drink coffee and talk, and live in Massachusetts, where golf is wicked had. So I don't really know how to say these properly. So if anybody out there wants to add comments or add comments to the TGC Tours thread I have out there, please do. But I always thought it was Cuyahoga, thanks to Michael Stipe and the wonderful 1986 song on Life's Rich Pageant. So he has since corrected himself, and I am correcting myself. But really, this is an inspired by Ross course. It was initially a 2K21 course. It was published for the CC contest that summer, and I really didn't finish the job well, and it was a bit of a mess. So I've talked on my other videos about saving this course and redoing it. And what I did was redo it mainly in 21, just before the release of PGA Tour 2K23. And I redid most of it at that point, and then released a beta, so to speak, under the radar, ported that over, and finished the job on PGA Tour 2K23. So I redid everything. I redid the holes. The cool thing about this course is each hole is modeled after a real life Donald Ross hole. It is not an RCR by any means. I do inspired by, which is I kind of riff off the real life hole, and you'll hear me talk about that on this playthrough. And what I did was really rework every single hole. Some of them are completely renovated and redone, and I tweaked the other ones that were good holes to begin with, like this one. And I redid the planting, and I finished the planting. The planting, I think the meter was only at 53 on the 2K21 version. So I added a ton of trees, worked the tree lines. So again, if you've seen my tree line video, you'll know the work I did there. And it's much better look and feel. It plays much better. It looks much better. So I'm happy with this result when I was not happy with the result on the 21 version. Okay. So where are we here? This is hole 2. It is modeled after Pocasset. Hole 2 in the Cape. So I'll talk more about that in the video. But I liked this hole a lot, and so I wanted to do the introduction here. One of my favorite holes in real life. It is a par 4 in real life, and yes, I have made par from the other side of that hill with a 5-wood from 215 in over the water. And also, the real hole has this is the edge of the course on this course. In real life, it's the middle of the course. It's the second hole. So a great hole on a great course. But let's get right to the playthrough. Hope you like it. Again, my goal in these playthroughs is to give you some insight when it's my course, insight on what I was thinking when I was designing, and to give you some design tip videos. Design tips along the way to help you out, especially if you're a newer designer. All right, so let's get right to it. All right, hole number 1. Scioto 1 is the inspiration for this hole. Basically, I removed the hogs back on this fairway and widened the fairway a little. The initial hole had a hogs back here. I thought that was going to make an interesting strategic decision here, but the fairway wasn't wide enough for that. So if you're ever doing a hogs back, you need a really wide fairway, and this wasn't it. So I've actually widened this fairway. Okay, because you can see what a mistake that was there initially. So the bunkering's about the same, and widen the fairway, and here you see the first green, which I featured in that video on green entrances. So we're playing that same hole location. Okay, so definitely take a look at that. Green entrances, I think, are very overlooked, and that was the focus of that video. So there's no super magic here. It's just a little bit of right to left, left to right. Which side of the fairway do you want to be on to approach the hole location? This one's in the front, and you can see this is accessible in many different ways. Here, 145 is a little short, 157, so I did this in the video. I'm going to just throw it here. See what we can do. Just kind of come at it from the front. Now I'm back to pro settings here. You saw the video. Boom. The front's gonna take that shot if you get it up there enough. Okay, so that was what the video was about. The greens are rolling at about 155. You can. I want this fast and firm. It's supposed to be a private Ross, so you can play it on fast. You could probably even play it very fast. I only did one test on it, but I brought it down for the default settings just because I know some people are very sensitive. That was a terrible putt, by the way. To the speed. I love the speed. I love the speed of these greens on this game. But there you have it, okay? So let's talk about inspired by holes. This is Pocasset number 2. So Pocasset is a local private country club just over the bridge in Pocasset, Massachusetts, down on the Cape. Now, I play this course every year with my real-life golf club. It is in a fantastic course. It is an old Donald Ross that is always in immaculate shape. The staff there is amazing. They treat you like members. It is just beautiful. It's one of my favorite courses I've ever played. I love going there every year. The second hole is a par 4, just like this. I might even put a link to a video in the TGC Tours website, the thread I have going on this course. It is a long 4 just like this. There's a hill off to the right. In real life, actually, one of the other holes, I think it's 15 or 16, comes up at you from the other side. But, you know, here it's the side of the course. If you don't get a bomb of a drive out there, you have that forced carry over the pond in front of it, and you have to play it like a par 5 if you miss it all. Here I decided to make it a par 5. So to me, that's what doing it inspired by is like. You know, I do it, here is the idea of the hole, but I make it my own. So I kind of riff off it, right? I don't try to make it an RCR. I said, how can I make this interesting for this game? Because, you know, I don't hit the ball 320 yards in real life. I could hit it 260 or 270. But here it's interesting as a par 5, okay? What I did on this hole is I widened the fairway at the top of the hill. I smoothed out the fairway. It was way too bumpy. I was getting too cute in the other game. And I made it more approachable. I want you to have that fun shot into this green right there, okay? So that's what I did. A little bit of a fade here isn't going to kill you, right? You can go over those trees. I think you can still Bryson it if you want. If you're hugging that tree line, you're not going to have a good result, most likely. You could bounce through, but it's going to push you off to the right, and I just trickled on, so you might get lucky like that. But you really want to play this out to the left, okay? Too far left, you're going to roll through the fairway. Now you can see I don't have a great angle to that whole location. Okay, so you really wanted that angle in on this one, so I'm going to fade it a little. And again, you know, back to green entrances, well, since that was the theme of that video, you know, take a look at all these. You can see how I smoothed all these. They're nice and smooth and receptive, okay? So this is not made to be overtly difficult. I think you can, you know, challenge yourself with the wind and the firmness and the speed of the greens. Go. Get off to the left a little, but you can see it rolls up, okay? So you got the back right location. I think I had that as a 1 location in the first version. 72 feet. Get up there. Not bad. Little tap and bird. As you can see, I've now made this course tree lined. Part of the problem with the course is I didn't get to finish in the original version like I wanted to, and I hit the publish button way too fast, like I said on the introduction. And I made a tree line. So I spent a lot of time on the trees and the tree line, which is again was another subject of one of my videos on tree lines. You can see here how I was kind of following my own advice. I worked on that hill way in the distance. That kind of is a V up in the top in the middle of the fairway. Again, that's an aiming point for you if you like. There's an aiming point over here. There's an aiming point there. And of course, if you're up playing up tees and you got wind, you can maybe go with this forced carry and really get it up there, right? Because this is a tough one. This should play tough. This hole is based on Inverness 7. So this is a very famous fairway in Inverness. When I did this hole in the first version, I think people didn't realize that, and they kind of mocked this fairway a little. And they didn't know what this fairway was. I saw a few playthroughs of people not liking this, and it's very close to the real deal. So I thought that was kind of funny. But this is tough. It's a long four uphill, and you're going to have a hard time getting in position to get up that hill and have a good angle into that green. So this should play very difficult, especially in wind. This whole location is not favorable. Look at that tucked in the corner. Okay. So this is meant to be a little bit tougher one. I think this course is pretty simple. Should be fairly easy to play. But again, you got a nice force carry, 21 feet up the hill. And again, you see how I've smoothed out that entrance a little. Not an easy entrance. You're not going to be able to roll one up on this hole at all. But it's not too severe. I'm just going to throw one off to the right. And even the pitch of this fairway is throwing you off. So you want to try to draw one in a little. Good luck. I'm going to try that. And if I go pin high to the right, I'm happy with that. And I am. I'll take that. That planting back there, you had to fix all that. For some reason, when you pour it over, it copies and pastes those plants and brushes. It puts them at default height. If you sunk them, a lot of times it puts them at ground level, and you have to redo it. And the size of the bushes are huge in this game. I don't remember if that happened with the other games, but you have to resize them. So it takes some time to do things right. I don't just port and publish, folks. I try to make this this course or these courses look and feel good and play great for you. So some people just kind of port and publish and don't think about this stuff. You got to think about your greens. You got to think about your planning, the fairway size and slope, and all that. So okay, this was another miss on the first version. This is Brayburn 6, a private country club in Newton, Massachusetts. I used to live very close to this course. Used to walk by it all the time. Never played it. I used to walk through the course all the time. Don't tell anybody. But this is a beautiful downhill par 3. In real life, it's got a stream in front of it. I tried doing that in the original version, kind of made an island green, and it didn't work. The slopes were too severe. Total swing and a miss. So I basically changed everything, made the green more like the real life counterpart, and kind of filled in the area here that had the stream, and replanted and resloped this whole green, which is way too severe. So 25 feet down, the wind's a little bit in our face. We're just going to add a little bit of loft, and oh, I pushed it terribly into that bunker. I didn't have to work the bunkers too much. I think I sculpted the bunkers fairly well in the original version. They poured it over nicely. So that was a plus. Get in. Hey-o. We'll take that. Okay. So from a shortest 3, so we had a long 4, short 3, and a shortish 4. 368. Check out those bunkers there. That tells you what this hole is modeled after. Mount Washington Course 3. If anybody's been to New Hampshire, the Mount Washington course is one of my favorites at the Bretton Woods Omni Hotel. Just an awesome, awesome fun course. I play it every summer. Inspired by that hole, I tried to get that bunkering to look just like it. It's basically the same concept. The hole goes a little bit more right to left. The green kind of goes, I think, the other way, if memory serves me correctly, from right to left, and the next hole is off to the left. And there's not too much room to the right. But you have a decision. You can try to go over these, or you got to go to one of the sides. And it's about, when the tees I play, about 210, 220, something like that. So I wanted to make this interesting for the game, but I think that's a nice visual off the tee. Interesting hole in real life. Here what I did was I gave you much more room on the fairway. I brought the fairway in closer to those bunkers, surrounded them. I gave you this section to the right, so you can play it from down here and go at the green from this direction. On some hole locations that might work. On this one, probably not. And I gave you even more room out here and got rid of, there was a bunker at the end of the fairway there. So, I was trying not to be too penal. If you go over here, you're in trouble, okay? If you go out here, you're probably safe, and you got that, most of the time you're going to have the angle in, but not to that kind of, that left, the front section of the green, the left section. So, I'll show you what I mean in a second. Again, not meant to be too hard of a hole, but it's just going to be a drive and pitch. If you're good at these little pitches, good for you because I'm not. So again, you could hit anything from a 5-wood to an iron here and take that full shot in. Here you're going to have 70 yards. Now, if I did this in the holes here or here, right, as you've guessed, the hole locations are going to be here, 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 and here. You know, these two are not that easy. I'm not very good at these. If you are, go for it. If not, lay back. Okay? So obviously this green slopes down a little bit. Not a flat putt on the hole, or any of these holes really. But there you go. So multiple ways to play it, trying to give you options and be versatile. Okay, on to the next par 5. So this one I play with. This is basically Inverness 8 with a touch of Scioto 6. So really, it's just a hard bend to the left around the corner. Both those holes kind of do the same thing. I think I was going more for Inverness. So basically, I was going for Inverness on the first version of this course. Oh, get over that bunker. If you really want to cut the corner and you're long, you can, but you risk doing that. So I pulled that, and not so hot. So you're not going to see the approach here, but I'll show it to you anyway. Again, you know, it's going to depend on where the hole is and how you want to do this. You can see I've smoothed that entrance. I've smoothed the green. I didn't play too much with these bunkers and the bunker placement. I think I did a little bit, but basically widened that fairway and sculpted a little to make it more receptive to tee shots. I added that water off to the left, I believe. As you'll see, in a lot of sections, I added a lot of water. And I'll explain why in a few. Oh boy, that's a tough spot. I might have to do this. I need more loft. So here's my advice. Don't go there. But it's a simple little layup. Don't go too far. Light rough. Another word, please add light rough to your courses if it's at all a traditional type of course with tighter fairways. Leave the no rough look for the wide open kind of linksy courses. Do us all a favor. That was not good. I told you I'm not that very good at those shots. So I've talked about that before. This is a classic course where you definitely need the light rough. If you're doing anything like this, you definitely want to put that light rough in there. I know others don't share that opinion, but so be it. Alright, off to 7. One that really gave me trouble. This was a disaster on the first version. Got a lot of slack for it, and deservedly so. There was a giant centerline bunker right here, okay? And it was big. And there was no room on either side. So note to new and aspiring designers, if you're going to put a centerline bunker in, you need room on either side. You need big fairways because you want it to be an option. Do I want it right? You don't want it left. And basically the option it was lay back or go over it. So that's not really how you work it. This one was initially designed to be Inverness 18. That does have, I believe, a bunker towards the middle of the fairway, if memory serves me, and a lot more bunkers to the side of each of the hole. But I kind of kept it. I just liked the way the green was offset here, and how it was a no-entrance green. So that's what I went with. I kept the bunkering a little lighter. I went with no entrance, elevated green. Again, I talked about it on my green entrances video. There's a hill. Perfectly acceptable to stop the fairway and go up the hill and have a no entrance green if it's a bigger slope. And you can see that slope goes pretty quick, right? It's not gradual. So instead of trying to put a fairway in there and have a big bump, do this. So again, this isn't anything more than a little bit of perhaps right to left, left to right, or could actually be another right to left shot in depending on where the hole is. Here, this is front. Sorry, it is front right. So you could actually fade one in, but guess what? Look at that. So really the trick to this hole is where in the fairway do you want to be? It's very sloped, and how do you want to get at the hole? Is it overly challenging? Nope. Is it meant to be? Nope. use your settings to make this a little bit more difficult, but I think it plays really nice. Interesting shape to the green. I like the way that came out. Get in. Oh my lord, I just whiffed. Worked a lot on the planting on this hole. It was a mess. I had very, very, very low lighting on the original. So it was a dawn lighting. It is dawn here, but I've definitely elevated the sun and the time of day. Changed all the textures. Okay. So I really did really did a complete revamp. Speaking of complete revamps, 8th hole totally redone. I think the first time I was going for, I think Brayburn again. I think it was Brayburn, I want to say 17 or 16. A long downhill par 3. I totally whiffed on it. So I just changed it all up, and I went with more like Inverness 13. So that was the inspiration here. So it's a very long 3, and it's a huge green subsequently, okay? Excuse me, still getting over that cold a little bit. So here you've got a lot of green to work with. It's going to play 255-ish to the back. I gave you runway. Again, this is where I started the replanting. I think this is one of the first holes where I started putting trees down and went with that tree line look. So again, you can kind of see that the mechanics of what I talked about in that tutorial on the tree line here. And really, really made this close to that Inverness hole. So this is just kind of a rip at it. You know, it's going to depend on the wind. And I just killed that. The green's not too severe, but it just moves all over the place. But I thought it was very pretty coming out of that chute, which is basically, that's a corner of the course. 7 into 8 is a corner. Now we're heading back to the clubhouse, and you can see what I did here, something fun. This is not a famous hole at all. It is a Donald Ross. It is Sandy Burr 9 as the inspiration for this one. So any local Massachusetts folks or New England folks might recognize this, or have heard that name. Not many people know Sandy Burr. It's a little Donald Ross in Wayland, Massachusetts. And the likes of Babe Ruth and Hagen have played it. And pretty cool little course that doesn't get a whole lot of talk. My apologies again for the the remnants of the cold coming in here. It's an uphill short 4. In real life, it's got a very upside-down saucer kind of green that's super interesting. It's an original green. Not all the greens on that course are an original. The 9th is one of them. So I had a short 4 going towards the clubhouse. I had to get to the clubhouse in the rounding, and made it Sandy Burr 9. It's a really big hill in real life, and basically most people are going to hit a 5-wood or something up here. There's more of a fairway. I know no one in this game is really going to do that. Most people, if they're not going to go for it, they're going to come up here or over here. If that's the way you want to play it, go ahead. You got to, mainly most people are going to Bryson it right over the trees. There used to be 3 trees in real life. They've taken those down, and there's, I think, really just 1 remaining. The parking lot is OB left it at off to the left. But I just wanted this to be a fun shot to a sloped green. If you're playing with a lot of wind, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And really here, it's going to be, can you get the eagle? Some folks might actually lay up. Be interested to see how this one plays, depending on what settings, what swing difficulty you're playing on, etc. All right, another one which I wrestled with. 10. This is Inverness 10. The initial hole was definitely Inverness 10, and a lot of people didn't get it. Here, let me just explain the hole to you. It's truncated fairway because why? There's a hill there. So yeah, why do fairways end? People kind of look at some of my courses, well, why does a fairway end? Well, there's, one of the first tips I ever got when I'm designing courses is, can you get a mower on it? So fairways end sometimes. It doesn't look like there's a reason, but there's a big hill. Could be a wet area, something you can't get a mower on, or something you can't keep up a fairway for whatever reason. You might not notice that it's a wet area or a stream or a drainage area. The first version, I didn't make the hill severe enough, and I kind of stopped it, put a little planting there, and then it wasn't that far down. If you look here, it's 5 feet, and then you go down, it's about 10 or 15 feet. It's not a big deal. But in real life, the point is, most pros do play this. The women played the Solheim Cup there. That was one of the reasons I used it as the inspiration, just because I'm close to the women's game due to my pro and his daughter being on the tour. And it's a very interesting hole. So I think this one came out great. I got a lot of positive feedback from it already. I made the green like the real life 10. And that was my decision, to go full in back to Inverness 10, make the separation of fairways matter, and make it true to life. I put the stream in there. I don't think there's a stream in there in real life, but again, to show you why the fairways are ending and demonstrate that, rather than people scratching their head and going, where's the fairway end? So here, it's the decision. You can hit it down there. There's some rocks down there to make it a little bit more of a challenge and make you think about it. Or you can lay back, okay? So I'm just going to lay back a little, have fun with the shot in. If you want to go for it, go ahead. Most people are going to do that, so I'll show you what happens if you hit a 3-wood. But I changed this 3 or 4 times. So I really worked pretty hard on this one, so to hear the positive feedback from everyone was really kind of cool. So thank you, Mike, Eraser Gibb, Chelsea, and the crew. Chelsea is featuring this in one of his videos. And I totally pulled it. But the green shape's really cool. Again, I really tried to get this one like real life. Usually when I do an Inspire By, I don't do that. But I wanted this one to really kind of pop and not be a bone of contention. Get down there. That was wimpy. All right. On to 12. I'm sorry, we're on 11. We're not on 12. My bad. So my bad. We are on 11, not 12. And this initially was Inverness 17. I kind of rebooted this. It didn't work in the first one. I had some water off to the side. It went out over here. I just didn't like it. So I made it. This really has very little to do with Inverness 17, other than it's a shortish 4 that bends hard down a hill to a very narrow kind of neck and approach into the green. It's a downhill, I think, green, and I elevated it, made it just kind of very Donald Rossi. So the challenge here is you're going to go through, a lot of you. So you got to get this, take this hill and move it down here. So you're going to have to work the draw a little bit. That's a lot, but I'm just kind of showing you what I mean. If you hit it straight on, you're going to go straight through. So again, I just made this, kind of a classic Ross elevated green. Again, that's a tough hill right there. I worked on that a little. Most people are going to carry it, not run it up. But again, that's not too severe. It's not going to reject you. I put some bunkering off to the side. Took me a while to figure this one out too. Definitely worked on that planning up there. And I sprinkled the crowds in. We like casual, we like tee ready, as we call it on the casuals, tournament ready crowds and objects. I took the tournament objects out. Initially it was tournament objects. I wanted to make it like a tournament course. That was an epic fail too. Okay, now we're on 12, the first 2 consecutive par 5s. So this one is Inverness 8 like. Again, I kind of freewheeled a little bit on this one, so it's not too much like the real life counterpart. In the first version, I think the fairway's maybe a little too narrow. I got some comments about that, but I let you have a nice big huge fairway here. The trick here is really not much at the tee. It pinches a little bit there. But if you look at that green, where do you want to come in from? So where do you want to be on this fairway? Here, you really want to be as right as possible. So the trick is getting over there. Is the wind going to help you? Not here. I put it on low winds just because we're doing a demonstration. But you could really bomb it off of this tee. And that was the point. You know, on the par 5s, I'm kind of in the mood to let you rip these days. Let you get it out there and then play with this shot in. Why? Because it's fun. And that's why we're all here. Par 5s. Terrible. Folks like to have fun with it. You know, I like a nice 3-shot hole occasionally. And my game is freezing up, so we'll take a break and be right back. Okay, we're back after a quick freeze up of the screen. Might be a little bit of server issues today. An update came out, so a patch came out. So perhaps that's what's going on. Lots of people logging in to get the update. So as I was saying, a lot of people I know like to have some fun with the par 5s. If you want to make it a true 3-shot hole, go ahead. I like to make them so there's a bit of a variability to them. Depending on the wind, it could be a 3-shot hole if the wind's in your face. If the wind's at your back, you're definitely getting there, and it's in between or not much when you're you're getting there, but barely. All right, so we're on another back-to-back, the second of 2 par 5s. This is Scioto 7. A really cool hole, which I featured. I did feature in the green entrances video, but I featured the real hole on the RCR course in my Making Your Greens Look Natural series. So, super cool hole. It's been renovated a few times, I think, in real life. What I did here is work on the entrance. I gave you more room to kind of throw one up that entrance there. You can see this hole location is off to the right. In the video I just released, it's up front. And I gave you more fairway on the approach, but not on the tee shot. So I took the bunkers out of the tee shot and narrowed the fairway to make that a little bit more interesting. So it's a bunkerless fairway, a little bit up and down the hill there, so not quite blind, but a little bit blind. And you can see I certainly, since this is the edge of the course, worked on the trees and the tree lines, okay? So it's a fun little shot off the tee. If you're down left in that little valley, you're going to have some trouble. And you can see where the bunker was. I left it as kind of a bunkerless bunker. Here you wanted to be left with this whole location, so I totally whiffed on that one. And you're going to have to kind of throw. That's going to be a tough one to get it close. I think you want to go out to the right. Sorry, the left. Fade it in, but the pitch, or I should say the slope of the fairway, is not going to help. So we're just going to throw it off there. Have a shot at it from the side. Hopefully it doesn't take that hill to the other side. But I think it's a really cool hole. I really like this one. So hopefully this one came out nice. And plays as fun as its real life counterpart. Good stuff. 4 under. Oh boy. 14. So you have seen me feature this one. The original in my How Not To video at Making Your Greens Look Natural. This was the volcano hole in my How to Make Your Greens Look Natural. Since I pointed out other designers' holes that weren't quite up to par, pardon the pun, on their green sloping, you know, I didn't mean anything, you know, mean or I didn't mean to make fun of those designers. So I did my own hole, and this was a volcano hole, and it was totally a whiff. So I made this one more like 9 at Scioto, which I thought was a really just nice mid-length par 3. Beautiful pitch, kind of 2 tiers without being tiered. So this is a tough location. Getting it close is going to be tough. We're going to want some some loft here and some spin. And I put too much loft on it and I whiffed. Yeah, and I missed the up and down. But I really worked hard on rebooting this one. The first one was a total disaster. And of course, then I worked on the planting and sculpting of the hill off to the side. There was grandstand there and fans. They were like way far away from the course. It was just a total mess. Another reboot. Again, this is Scioto 15, and or that is the inspiration, I should say. Spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make this an interesting one. This is kind of classic Ross heroic carry over the bunker if you want. But again, it's a little bit of a switchbacky hole, right? It's a little bit of left to right off the tee, and it's probably a little bit of right to left off on the approach, depending on the hole location. Not necessarily this one. But we're going to add some loft here. And I pulled it. So I spent a lot of time. I redid this one again 2 or 3 different times. And so hopefully this one works well. The green is very sloped because it's a shortish 4. There's not too much challenge off the tee other than, strategic challenge. But I hope that came okay. A lot of time on the planting, I added the water. Okay. 16 again, it's just like 16. I changed this one dramatically. It was a very weird kind of straightaway fairway that ended what looked like for no reason. So I added the water in front. I really liked the green complex, so I kept most of that, smoothed it a little. And then I just kind of touched up the splining around the green site there. But I took out the fairway bunkers and made this kind of curve around, just like Scioto 16. Obviously worked on the tree line there, so that was that's a much better view off the tee. And again, that tree line also serves a double purpose as an aiming point. Okay. Yes, I put a willow in. I like willows. That's a touch, another nod to Sandy Burr, which is lined with willows. They are much better in this game. I know some folks are not exactly fond of them. But much better in 23 than 21. I can run it back there. But I really like this hole in the screen complex. So I think this is part of a nice finish. Excuse me. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Throat's getting a little dry, as I said before. So 17 reworked. This is Scioto 17. The original was a Redan. It wasn't really supposed to be Redan. I kind of turned into Redan. It didn't work well at all. So I kind of made this more like if you've played the RCR version. I had that hole in my Making Your Greens Look Natural video, and I loved it. Kind of made this reverse. It was going left to right on that course, and I made this one going a little bit more right to left. So it's basically just the longest 3, shorter than 8, up the hill, and it just falls off to the left side. So is anything magic? Nope. But it's just going to be a fun little shot in on a simply pitched green. And like I said in that video, you don't need to make the green too much on a hole of this length. Just a subtle movement, and that's actually not that subtle in the middle there. That's enough to make the short game the challenge here. And there you see it. How do you get that speed right? Right? Because it's just going to keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. It doesn't look like too much off the tee, right? Get in there. All right. Another bogey down to 1. Under my own course. Let's try to keep it under par. Okay. So I worked a lot on the BTs, I call it. You see there the behind tee shots. So this is 18. I did a lot of work with the trees here. I made sure I had the clubhouse visible there. Again, that doubles as an aiming point. But it gives you a nice view of the clubhouse. This is basically a little bit of Inverness 9 with a touch of Plymouth 18. This one's a little bit more of kind of freelancing, freewheeling than anything. I removed the centerline bunker here, folks. Again, I had a centerline bunker here and not enough room on the fairway. Resplined the fairway, resculpted it. I left this kind of bunkerless bunker down here if you're trying to cut it short. And then I kept most of this kind of green site intact. I resculpted the green. I left that huge bunker off to the left just because does that look spectacular? I don't know. You tell me. It's huge. I tend not to do big bunkers, but I thought it was kind of cool and just reminded me of the original version a little bit. So I kept that in there. I redid the bunkers on the right. And then obviously, redid the trees and the crowds and all that stuff. So, it's a fairly straightforward hole to finish. But I think it's kind of got that classic Ross look that you'll see on most kind of finishing holes. Again, flatten that entrance. You can see the clubhouse over there. Did a little trick with the people on the roof, if you missed that. A lot of folks have done that, certainly. But that was in the early days of people doing that, so I thought I was oh so clever when I did it. That's probably a bit overdone. But if you play that just right, it's going to roll right down in there. And there you go. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was a informational walkthrough, and of course I whiffed. You'd think I'd learn by now that I really can't putt when I'm talking. There are all these videos. Let's sync this so I don't wind up even on my own course. Hey! So there it is, folks. Cuyahoga Downs. Now out on 2K23. If you're a Ross fan, I hope you like it. It will be featured in Casuals Week 3 of the upcoming season, the new season, which will be season 34. So thank you so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe. And keep those requests coming. If you want to see anything on design tips, happy to do course design tips. If you want me to play through your course, let me know. I'll do that. They'll be doing some more casual previews as we go along. And we will talk real soon. And once again, thank you so much for stopping by. Bye for now.